Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. I'm still trying to get my green screen straightened out here. Can't wait to get into the new studio. I got to tell you the truth. Welcome back to another episode. We have a great show today. We're going to talk about improving cognition, but we have a completely different angle to go at this. And there's a lot of products out there that claim to improve cognition, but few of them improve it by addressing the problem in the first place. And we're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. Of course, I have to pay homage to our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. If you go to the website, eatlegendary.com, you can use the code SHR10 to save 10% off all of their fantastic snacks. All have less than 1 gram of sugar. So many of them, less than 2 to 3 impact carbohydrates. If you are somebody who is a high protein, low carb, low sugar person, there is no better place to shop for your snacks than Legendary Foods. We're going to bring everybody on here in just 1 second. This is going to take a second here. Remove that. And then we go make that go away. There we go. So we have today Wade Lightheart and Matt Gallant with us. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Feeling optimized.
You've dropped 16 pounds, right? Wade?
Yep. Yeah, but
like in a super short period of time, right?
11 days.
Wow. That is, people say that can't be done.
Yeah, well, one of the things,
before we get into the brain boost stack, can we talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So I want to qualify this, and I'm not necessarily going to recommend this. So one of the things that we pride ourselves at Bioptimizers is doing radical, crazy experiments. And sometimes those lead to epic fails, and occasionally they come to epic discoveries, and some of them are just in the middle. So preliminary to this, I experimented with alternate day fasting, and which is 12 hours of eating, 36 hours of not eating. And I didn't calorie restrict on the 12 hours when I was doing so. And I extended that experiment for about 13 weeks. Was probably 9 weeks too long. So what happened is I got an absolute incredible condition during that process, but I created a metabolic slowdown that when I came out, I rebounded out of that. And hunger went up, because of a ghrelin response or whatever, and all that sort of leptin ghrelin axis all messed up. And so I had to eat my way back out of that situation, which I spent about somewhere around 8 weeks to kind of get my metabolism back where I could feel that, okay, I'm back on track again. Right. So in doing that, I said, okay, now I'm going to try and control the timeline for that experiment. And I'm going to do a couple of other different tweaks to that. So I said, I'm going to see if I can lose 21 pounds in 21 days. And then run DEXA scans to see how much of that's fat, how much is that's crap, how much is that's water, and how much of lean body mass I lost on that. And then we'll go through a sort of like a ramp up stabilization where we'll kind of recompensate, and then we'll make another push. And so we'll see. I'm guessing 3 weeks might be the extent. It might only be 2. I don't know. So we're in the middle of that experiment right now.
Very cool. Very, very cool. How's your cognition during this period?
Just laser.
Yeah.
Laser, but I'm doing a lot of other stuff on my brain, like I'm doing a lot of brain optimization hacks that allows me to stay on point even in the locales. But the locales, interesting enough, after you make the adjustment, I think the BDNF and there's a certain mental clarity that you have in sharpness that's pretty cool.
And I want to focus on that for a second, because this is where the discussion today about the brain stack that we're going to talk about really is easily distinguishable from other. There's lots of products out there that claim to improve cognition, and almost all of them have some sort of stimulatory effect, and that stimulatory effect can improve cognition in a way that it overrides what's causing your poor cognition. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, we're not going to fix the problem. We're just going to jack your brain up and it's going to feel better, but it's really not addressing why you have these cognitive issues to begin with. And so, and Matt's going to laugh because, I was going to do the, 6 meals a day, and I started doing that, and I am just too busy to prep my meal. I mean, I just have so much going on. So my time restricted feeding is fantastic for me. I love it. I wake up, I don't have to I don't have to cook any food. I do take Capex in the morning, and I got to tell you, I feel it. But I'm fasting anywhere from 16 to 20 hours, and then just having 1 or 2 meals, and I'm done eating by 6 p.m. and I'm getting good sleep. And I notice, and this is how I know my cognitive issues come from my gut, because the longer I fast, the sharper I get. And that's because those microbes that are producing poopy that fog up my brain, I'm not feeding them for hours on end. And if you're one of these people, if you're somebody who notice, man, when I fast, I just feel laser focused, super sharp, so much more than normal, this is the stack for you. Because I'm willing to, and I stand to be corrected by both of you. You could say, Carl, no. But I'm willing to bet that if you're somebody whose brain just feels amazing on even a 14-hour fast, it's because your gut is what's causing your poor cognition and brain fog. Tell me I'm wrong. Am I wrong about that, you think? What do you think? Who wants to jump in?
Yeah, I think you're 100% accurate. So one of the things that, there's estimates that somewhere between 50 and 95% of your neurotransmitters are being built in your gut. There's another component. And I think it's like 25% of the population isn't able to digest, absorb, and utilize their protein in a way that manufactures the neurotransmitters, the polypeptide chains that are foundational to it. So a lot, and then on top of that, we have, because of soil degradation, we have all these key mineral deficiencies. And, for example, you look at trace minerals as a great example. Trace minerals, people go, oh, we don't need to pay attention to those. Well, why do you think the body has all these trace minerals in our body? There's very specific functions, and I like to think of them as elements on an FM radio dial. So palladium is here, and silver's here, and gold's here, and there's a frequency domain that allows cell-to-cell communication. So we have a multi-phased problem that when we're dealing with cognition. One, are you getting and digesting, absorbing, and utilizing the foods that you're getting? Two, is your diet supportive of your brain chemistry? Like whichever brain chemistry you're dominant. Some people are dopamine dominant, some are acetylcholine, right. So different people do. Do you have enough of the right microbes to manufacture this thing? And is there damage in your intestinal walls, or crap's leaking in? Are you reconstituting that? So, this is a multi-set problem. And a lot of people are trying to look at it from a one-hit wonder kind of, if I just want this one thing, but that kind of mentality really sets people back from optimizing. And so our goal as trainers and coaches and product developers, and then also systematizing that in a way that people can look at it, is to look at the whole picture holistically and this systemically eliminate the potential causes, just like maybe a military unit would kind of figure out, okay, here's our objective, where's the weak points, how do we address these, how do we counteract those things? And that's what we kind of do at Bioptimizers. And Matt has done an extraordinary job of compiling superstar experts in very specific areas. But what's unique about that is how he's able to synergize this expert with this expert with this expert to look at these maybe 3 or 4 different problems and then put together the puzzle pieces to kind of come up with an optimal solution for people.
So Matt, I want to get your take on this. So I did a show 3 years ago with Dr. Satish Rao, and he's the guy who published the paper on brain fog, morning brain fog, and the link to SIBO. And the SIBO specifically was producing an overabundance of D-lactic acid, which is a different kind of lactic acid than your muscles produce. And the presence of this D-lactic acidosis caused both men and women to wake up first thing in the morning and just feel horrible. And, many of these people say, I can't get started for the first 2 hours. Even coffee isn't doing it for me anymore. And it's because at night, your gut kind of prunes and maintains its environment. And that's why, you shouldn't have food in your stomach when you sleep, because your gut has work to do. And that's when it's producing some of these metabolites of the foods you've eaten earlier in the day. You accumulate them at night. You wake up in the morning, you're all foggy. Your brain just doesn't feel good. You're doing energy shots. You're doing all this sort of stuff. When the reality is, if you would address those things, then you wouldn't need the abundance of stimulants in the morning, because you wouldn't wake up necessarily wide awake, but you wouldn't wake up where you got to spend 2 hours trying to wake up at home. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think a good starting point is talking about caffeine, right? And caffeine is obviously probably the most popular nootropic in the world. Obviously, I use it. Wade uses it at times. Now, I'm a slow caffeine metabolizer, and for those reasons, I can't drink that much. I mean, I'll kind of sip 1 cup of coffee over hours, and that's enough for me. But I wanted to find other ways to boost cognition, to boost energy. And what caffeine does basically fools your brain into making you think you're not tired. That's right. Essentially what caffeine does.
But that's actually dangerous, because Adel Moussa cited a study about 6 years ago that showed that those of us who depend heavily on caffeine, which I am a caffeine junkie. I really am. I mean, I've fought with caffeine for decades now. But we tend to end up overtrained, because the caffeine is taking our body hostage and making us do work that we would have taken off that day.
Yeah, and Wade's got a great story as far as really pushing it to the max. I'll let him share that in a second. But the point is, it's a really popular thing, but that's just one perspective. If you look at all the ways the brain's the most complex part of the body. I mean, we think the body's complicated or a cell's complicated, but, I've talked to a lot of biologists, and they say the brain is exponentially more complicated. So, there's so many ways that we can optimize it, including the gut, including obviously giving the micronutrients that the brain needs, including boosting mitochondria. So that's essentially the overarching design of the brain stack, is let's hit it from multiple angles. And we don't need to be, squeezing our adrenal glands dry, which have a, pretty negative effect once you really get that. And maybe Wade, you can share that story with everyone.
Please.
Yeah, so I love stimulants. I love nootropics. I love the ride up, and like a guy that has bracelet day at the amusement park, I just want to hit that ride over and over and over again. And of course, I'm an ambitious guy, like probably a lot of people on your podcast. You've got 50 million things that you want to do, and if you got the 50 million done, you got 50 million more that you want to do. So a few years back, why we really got into this is I was running 3 businesses simultaneously, going through an immigration process in a foreign country, and which with massive complications because I didn't know the language and all that sort of stuff, and was kind of navigating through that kind of component. Then there was a major issue with one of the companies, like pretty severe. One of the most stressful things you can happen. Long story short, I was working. A slow day would be 12, 13 hours. A long day would be 16 and with no days off, every day for well, I think it was probably close to 18 months or something like it. It just got out of control. And in order to sustain that pace, plus I'm working out, plus I'm doing all that stuff. So
right.
In order to sustain all that, I just kept pounding caffeine, right? Like, oh, I'm feeling fuzzed out. Let's just smash down another batch. And long story short, I got myself into really major trouble. I was emotionally on a hair trigger. There was kind of like this burnout feeling all the time, like I'm sluggish, and I'm a high energy guy. I wasn't getting my social stuff. I'm an extrovert. I like to socially connect. I was driving this. So I'm taking away the things that support and feed my psychology, and I'm just pounding it out to get this external result. Matt hooked me up on a neurofeedback machine, and I was basically brain dead. You know, I had the brain energy of a 90-year-old.
And did you feel it? Did you feel sluggish?
Yeah.
Like always feel like I'm just tired?
Well, I'll tell you, Matt and I, who were at the time had been living like literally a 5-minute walk from each other. I was working so hard. I saw him personally 5 times in a period of about 6 months. Like and we run a couple, like we would only connect online, but that's how bad it was. And one of these times we went out for dinner to just kind of go over stuff and catch up. And Matt says like, hey man, like, we haven't seen much of you, it feels like you're really under a lot of pressure and stress. How's it going? And I looked him straight in the eye and I said, I'm living in the upper levels of hell. Not saying it's the lower levels, but we're definitely in the upper levels.
We're in hell. We're in hell.
Yeah. So because I think of my bodybuilding career and my past history and a desire, I have an ability, although I have a heightened sense of awareness of what's going in my body, I also have an ability to suspend pain, suspend discomfort, like, you know what I mean? Like, and those are great tools to use in a short period of time. But if you abuse that capacity, you enter into a chronic load. And so the good news was I did some testing, and with a naturopathic doctor using a SpectraCell test, which I think is a phenomenal test because I wanted to look at, hey, what's going on? What's happening on my mineral levels? I was completely blown out in magnesium. I was completely blown out on my B vitamins. So what I was doing is exhausting myself. So all the caffeine was draining my magnesium dry. The other thing at that time, I was in an area where I didn't have the same amount of access to food. So some of the proteins that I would normally get, I'm a plant-based guy. So we have to be ultra conscientious of the kind of proteins that we're able to access. And at this time, I was really not able to access the kind of high quality protein that I need as a plant-based guy. So now I was deficient in neurotransmitters. And I think that's a big issue for a lot of vegetarians, or why people can't stay on it. If you're going to be a plant-based guy, you really have got to dial in your protein digestion, absorption, and utilization, because you're working on a very small window of variance. And so you can't make the neurotransmitters. So I think stressing the nervous system out, abusing caffeine, not being able to get the neurotransmitters to be able to make, and doing this for a long period of time left me in the toilet. And thanks to some testing and, getting rid of one of those businesses, pounding the things we're going to talk about today at a level, and dialing back my training, dialing back my dietary components, just let myself to kind of relax. I was able to repair myself in about 6 months. I did. I stopped caffeine for a year. I didn't drink a coffee. I didn't drink a tea, nothing for a year. And yeah, it was pretty interesting, but fortunately I was able to hack my way out of it.
Let's get into the components of the stack, and then we'll explain how it can be used. And I want to start with one that we've talked about before, and that is Capex, because I use this and so does Elisa, on an empty stomach when we fast. And I have people, I'm going to see if I can find this spot. I'll play it when we come out of the break. But I got a guy who says it's the first thing that's ever made his brain work. I think maybe it was cognibiotics. That's what it was. But we'll talk about that later. To discuss how Capex works in this stack.
Yeah. So Capex, when we started formulating that product, the first intent was, hey, let's build something to really help optimize the digestion of a ketogenic diet or a high fat diet. But we always love looking at the entire biopathway, right? So the first step, of course, with digestion is breaking down the food, but we wanted to go right down to the level of assimilation. And assimilation means you're either absorbing the food as energy, or you're burning it as energy, or you're using it as building blocks, right? So amino acids and some fats get turned to building blocks, and then glucose and fatty acids get either stored or burned. So we really wanted to optimize the entire process, right down to making the mitochondria stronger, which that's where you get into the energy boost. So essentially the way Capex works, and if you take it on an empty stomach, you get it just goes right into your bloodstream. So you're not losing anything, especially with the lipase and the other enzymes. And enzymes in general are an energy booster. And I'll wait to share kind of our experience when we started on enzymes like 18 years ago. Because that's when we really started to realize. Because again, what are enzymes? They're electrical catalysts. They're doing 25,000 different functions in the body. So the more enzymes you have, the more that you can do almost every biochemical function in the body. But just to get a little more granular on Capex, so you got lipase, you got 4 different lipases and proteases, which will help break down fats or proteins. And we believe, and again, there's no hard evidence on this, but we believe that the lipase, taken on an empty stomach, going into the bloodstream will help, again, start breaking down some of the fat. We're not saying it's a fat loss product, but if you're breaking down more fats into fatty acids, then again, they're available for energy. And then we got the L-carnitine to transport it. We've got InnoSlim, which will help transport glucose to the muscle instead of being stored as fat. And then we've got enzyme activators like the 7-keto-DHEA, and then we got CoQ10, which will activate the mitochondria. So together, the original time that I tried the samples, I think it was like 2 in the afternoon, and I didn't really realize how much energy I'd get from it. So I took like 6 caps, and it took me a long time to fall asleep that night, which I never have that issue. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me repeat that. Maybe there was something that day that threw me off. So did the exact same thing. And I looked at my Oura ring that night. It took me 3 hours to fall asleep. So I knew that it boosted energy. So, you got to find the right dose for you, which usually for me, 4 or 5 caps. So about a cap for every 50 pound of body weight seems to be the right dose. And then of course, take it early in the morning. But what's awesome about it is there's no adrenal stimulation. There's 0 stimulants in this. So any energy you're getting from this is purely mitochondrial, and it's very sustained. It's about 8 to 10 hours of energy boost. And yeah, Wade, maybe you can share some stories related to that.
Well, I experienced the same thing. So Matt and I, for those who don't know, Matt's a keto guy. I'm a plant-based guy, and he's a fats guy and I'm a carbohydrates guy. I call myself a carbivore. And one of the issues that I always had whenever I would attempt a ketogenic diet is once my fat total hit a certain point, I'd start seeing fat show up in my stool. My body just didn't metabolize fat very well. And I think the enzymatic pathways for lipase in particularly, either from genetics or from abuse of chemicals at a period in my life, had been disrupted. So Matt, when he built Capex and designed it, he addressed all the different lipase stuff. So when I first took it, he made me test this in the blind. So this was a product that he worked with our testing team to test it in the blind. I didn't even know what I was taking. He's like, just take these caps and try it and see what happens. And so I had the same thing. I took it in the afternoon, and I was, it's 1 o'clock at night. I usually go to bed or maybe around 10 or 11. It's 1 o'clock at night. And I'm like, hey, I think I want to get into my computer and start answering emails or start doing stuff. And I was like, this is odd.
Yeah.
And I did that a couple of times. And then I reached out to Matt. I kept dialing back the time. I was like, maybe I took that too late. So then I got to a point where I could only take it before noon and I tried it on fasting days. I tried it on eating days. I did notice that on fasting days, there was a measurable increase. Like I noticed that stay up late on a fasting days more so than on the eating day. So, and then after that, he revealed what the product was. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So yeah, that was my experience.
So you take it on an empty stomach now in the morning when you want it to just kind of give you sustained energy while you're fasting?
Well, I actually take it every day in the morning. I take 5 caps every morning, first thing upon rising. And then I take 4 of the Cognibiotics, and then I drop a dropper of the Primergen vitamins, proper vitamins, minerals. That's as well. And then I take a scoop, actually add a scoop of Leaky Gut Guardian as well to kind of stabilize. And so that stack right there. Yeah, that stack right there. On non-fasting days, I take that and then I wait 30 minutes and then I do 50 grams of plant-based protein for me in the morning. And then I wait another 30 minutes before I'll have my regular foods. That way I'm building all the that's what I've learned over the last 6 months of what's optimal for me, and everybody else can kind of experiment as they like. And then on empty stomach days, I don't take the leaky gut. I just take the stack, the Cognibiotics, the Primergen, and the Capex together, and that's it. That's all I'll have for that day. Other than I'll slam some mass times as well during the day, but that's different.
We're going to cover each of these components of this stack, but I'm going to go ahead and put this out there for those of you who are watching and are anxious. You can go to shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. and use code SHR10 to save an additional 10% off the entire stack. There's a lot of really sophisticated stuff in this stack, and we're going to get deep into it. A couple of them I'm really excited about because I've known about them. I just didn't know that you guys had them in the Primergen V and Primergen M. So we're gonna cover the Primergens when we get back. So stay tuned. You're watching and listening to Superhuman Radio. We'll be right back. My friends over at Bioptimizers, makers of industry-leading digestive supplements, have created a special recipe for you that helps boost brain performance in the morning. They make products Primergen V and Primergen M, potent liquid vitamins and mineral formulas loaded with absorbable vitamin Bs and trace minerals in a fulvic and humic acid base. You stack that with 3 capsules of Capex, their enzyme and energy supplement, and the effect is even stronger. You'll be buzzing without jitters or any negative side effects for hours. Bioptimizers calls this the Brain Boost Stack, and they're running a special promotion for you at shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. That's shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. You can get an additional 10% off from the normal package price with the coupon code SHR10. It's a powerful way to get your brain going and optimize your daily focus, memory, and performance. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Among the easiest and most popular ways to experience the life-altering benefits of hemp, Planet Earth CBD soft gels offer fast-acting effects as they release quickly. Made in a GMP-compliant, US FDA-registered facility, you can count on Planet Earth's safe soft gels. These soft gels provide temporary relief from pain and so much more. Manufactured with the calming combination of chamomile and melatonin, you got yourself a long-needed CBD solution. 25 milligrams of nano-emulsified hemp extract per serving with anti-inflammatory agency. Planet Earth sleep-supporting soft gels will have you forgetting about today's worries for a better tomorrow. Unwind with Planet Earth CBD today. Want to improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamins, L-Butamin, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these 4. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamin. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/super Superhuman Stack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack.
You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I've found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Hang on, I lost a mouse, believe it or not. I was looking for a video, and somehow I lost the mouse. Sit tight, sit tight. It fell off the desk. You believe this? Where the hell did it go? Oh, this is a disaster. I am so sorry. I am stranded here. A wireless mouse has fallen. Where it went, I have no friggin' idea. Where the hell is it? Oh, man. Guys, I am so embarrassed right now. Hold on a second. I don't know where this mouse went, and I can't function without it. Oh. I'll edit all of this out. Don't worry. Man. Okay. Thank God for hardwired mouse. This is I have 3 computers on my desk. 3. And then I had to pick up the laptop because I wanted to try and find this video of one of our listeners talking about one of these products, and it's the only thing that's ever improved his cognition. And somehow the only wireless mouse rolled off the desk and is completely gone. So I had to go get a hardwired mouse and plug it in. All right, let's go down the line, regain my composure here, of the individual things. I want to talk about the Primegens because I didn't even know you guys have these. What is Primegen V and Primegen M? What's the difference and what do they contribute to this?
Go ahead, Wade.
Yeah. So Basically, one of the things that when I started looking through Ayurvedic medicine and I got introduced to some people who were specialists in what was called platinum group elements as well as monotoxins. So in Ayurvedic medicine, they would, practitioners would take this kind of pitch, this suspended organic matter. It's very, very black. Some people will call it shilajit and things like that, which basically is plant matter that's been compressed, and ultimately it will turn to shale, but maintains its biological components. So in order for us to get vitamins and minerals in these essential components, we need to eat plants or we need to eat animals that eat plants. And plants produce what's called humic and fulvic acid, which literally digests rocks and converts them into biologically available nutrients that our body consumes. And so I had heard, when I learned about this, I was able at about 14 years ago, was able to find a specialist in this particular area about providing biologically available nutrients. The other thing, because I knew a little bit, a fair amount about vitamins and minerals, one of the issues is if you're grinding up, if you're using tablets or powders or liquids, there's a huge variance in how much is absorbed. So, and then the other thing is how do you extract these vitamins and minerals from plants? Are you using chemicals that could have some deleterious effects on the body as well, like some agents, like a lot of companies? And so I was able to determine to be able to source out someone who was grabbing humic and fulvic acid and then bringing in these biologically available vitamins and minerals and putting it in a liquid suspension. So what we did is we said, hey, the other thing is when you look at most vitamin substances and you look to minerals, as people who sweat a lot like we do because we work out and we train a lot, we need more minerals, particularly these trace minerals and platinum group minerals, than we do vitamins. So if you're taking vitamins, you could take too many vitamins and not enough minerals. So I wanted to separate a mineral formulation and a vitamin formulation, and I wanted to put it in a suspension because if you put it in a liquid in what they call a monoatomic form, you could get about 4,000 times smaller than what you could get in a capsule. So it becomes your absorbability, your effectiveness. And so we produced these two types and we separated the vitamins from the minerals, both with a humic and fulvic acid. So there's a bit of both. And we just put them in here and we cover almost every vitamin and mineral that you would need. And it's easy because you can dose up or dose down based on your body weight, because a 40-pound child is not going to need the same amount of vitamins, minerals as a 300-pound lineman. And so we were able to kind of isolate, put those together, separate them into two bottles, and make a very simple, fast, cost-effective way to give all our trace minerals, most of our essential vitamins in a liquid suspension, and that were biologically available. And that's where those two products came. And it's simple, easy, convenient. Drop it in your water, or I just drop a dropper under my tongue, and away you go. And then it's easy. And so I've been using that for 13 years.
Fulvic acid is very.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry, Matt. Go. No, I'm just saying fulvic acid is very, very interesting. It's a very interesting compound that I was introduced to while I was at a Quest think tank about 5 or 6 years ago. There seemed to be some magic with it, and that's talk about it, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. Just to rewind too, even before we met this genius formulator on the mineral and vitamin side, I was a believer in trace minerals. And we know that if you start becoming deficient in macro minerals, I mean, there's a lot of research on the macro mineral deficiencies, things start declining pretty fast, right? Whether it's zinc and testosterone or, all these, again, the macro minerals, there's tons of research showing that deficiencies create problems. There's no reason to believe that it's not the same thing with the trace minerals. And our core goal at Bioptimizer is to give people the right quantity and quality of the nutrients they need for their bodies to be optimized. So to us, the vitamins and minerals just a foundational thing. And of course, a little bit of a backstory. This was probably 19 years ago. I was using these, compressed rocks, as we call them. And I
Tablets.
got to a point, the tablets, and I had a vitamin B toxicity level, because you can take things, and if they're not being assimilated, and we're talking about assimilation when it comes to vitamins and minerals, it means that they're being utilized by the cell and converted. And what was happening, I was taking this vitamin B, and the levels are just building up in my bloodstream, and it was very problematic. So what people notice with this is, first of all, more energy. And these are awesome to add to different things. In our opinion, like for an example, if you add this to a fat coffee or bulletproof coffee, it will amplify not just it will amplify everything. You'll absorb more of the caffeine, and it has a very synergistic effect. So, whatever you're adding it to, especially there's plant matter, because of the fulvic and the humic acid, you're going to get more absorption. So we're big fans of adding this to shakes and teas and coffees for those reasons. And, probably the most common comment we get from our customers is these are vitamins and minerals that you can feel.
So Primergen M is minerals and Primergen V is the vitamins. Interesting. Now I was wondering what the
74 minerals. And then on the vitamin side, it's a full spectrum B formula. So again, as far as energy goes, or again, for vegetarians, it's a really key thing. But you'll definitely feel it.
Now the last player in the stack is a heavy mover. That's the one I was trying to find. Dylan Goutreau did a great video for me. I've played it on other shows when we were running the Cognibiotic commercials. And I will find it. That's how I lost my mouse looking for it on my laptop. But he said it's the only thing that has ever worked for him that literally makes him feel wide awake in the morning. And this comes full circle to my long introduction, trying to couch today's discussion in, there's lots of things that'll make you feel awake, but nothing really addresses why you don't feel brain-wise on top of your game like Cognibiotics, because now what Cognibiotics is doing is it's going to implant the good players in your gut and help weed out the bad players that are causing the problem in the first place. So to explain what Cognibiotics does for anybody who's never heard the last interview we did on it.
Yeah. So as far as optimizing brain function, maybe the most important is to optimize your neurotransmitters. So what does that mean? It means, you want the right amount of dopamine, the right amount of serotonin, not too much, but if you're deficient, for example, in dopamine, you're not going to have drive. You're not going to want to learn. You're going to run out of juice, However, when you got enough dopamine, you can get stuff done and keep driving, and you're learning faster. The dopamine is not just for the reward system. It's a key part of learning. And then as far as serotonin goes, it's a huge part of, feeling good. And if you're not feeling good, it's hard to perform.
You want to speak about that, Wade? The Cognibiotics?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple other key elements. And when we developed Cognibiotics, Matt went through with actually we've got some PhDs that are experts in biofilm and the bacteria that are responsible for manufacturing the variants of neurotransmitters. The other thing is we had a neuroscientist that was an expert in Chinese medicine. So Chinese medicine, which is, this is pretty interesting when you go back to Charles Poliquin and the strength sensei, who was so famous for coaching all these different gold medalists in, I think, 27 different Olympic sports and the who's who of stuff. He was the first guy to make the connection between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. And he said it's neurotransmitter dominance. And there was a variety of herbs that had been used in Chinese medicine when they were combined together, treated all sorts of neurological conditions, anything from anxiety to depression to inability to focus and stuff. So we got the neuroscientists that could secure these specialized herbs. And then we said, let's combine them with what the PhDs figured out in the bacteria that would manufacture the neurotransmitters and put them together in a formula that would create non-competition between the bacterial strains and then with the herbs. So you get first the boost initially. There's a kind of a somatic effect just from the herbal formulation from the Chinese herbs. But ultimately, as these bacteria are fed and developed, then you'll be able to start manufacturing those neurotransmitters on your own that you were potentially that you were deficient in.
And 95% of serotonin and 50% of your dopamine is created in the gut. I mean, your gut creates about 30 different neurotransmitters. So it's not just those two; it's the full gamut. And so we focus on strength.
And that's why when people have digestive issues, they always talk about how they just feel horrible. Most people who have digestive issues don't say my stomach hurts. What do they say? They say, I feel horrible. Why? Because it's up here. What your gut is doing wrong is affecting here. Your perception of how you feel is altered. You go, oh, my gut hurts. I have a tummy ache. No, people go through life and they say, I just feel horrible. And remember, this is where the term hypochondriac came from. The word hypochondria is the rib cage, and the idea was that these people felt they couldn't put their finger on what was wrong with them, but they knew something was wrong with them. And Socrates said it's coming from their gut, and that's where the term hypochondriac came in. Hypochondriac was never meant to mean Woody Allen, people who think they have diseases. Every time they read a book, they have that disease. It was designed to describe people who had no evident injury or specific identifier of an illness, but they still felt horrible. And that's where the term came from. I'm sorry, Matt, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's interesting. But so I just personally, I work with alcoholics and addicts, and sometimes I get one where, they've crashed your serotonin. And I mean, when your serotonin crashes, I mean, that's just the essence of depression. And, I've crashed my serotonin in the past, and so has Wade, and life's pretty rough. And I've also, kind of depleted dopamine at times, and it's hard to drive. So, as far as brain performance and feeling awesome, you're never going to perform anywhere near your best without optimizing your neurotransmitters. And, other than taking pharmaceuticals, again, which has major consequences, this is really the best approach.
So what I want to do is I want to take our last commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to instruct people on how to use the stack. But in the meantime, if you go to the URL shrnetwork.biz/brainstack, and use the code SHR10, you'll save an additional 10% off the entire stack. And the stack is quite a few items. I'm just going to put a picture up here of them if everything is going to cooperate with me. Today, this week has been very challenging from a technological standpoint. It's just amazing, but it looks like it's going to cooperate. So this is what the product looks like. This stack. It should be up here now. Where is it? Oh, it didn't show up. I don't understand. There we go. This is what the stack looks like. It is 2 bottles, and that is the Primagen M and V, and then the Capex and the Cognibiotics in the back, and you'll save 10% off the entire stack. Go to shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. We're going to take a last commercial break. We're going to explain exactly how you stack them. Stay tuned. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health sauna every day. You'll crave it. You'll love love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. You know, I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, you know, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do this with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom-made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Welcome back. We're talking about a unique stack if you're interested in improving cognition and brain function. And you've tried other things and they don't work. There could be very good reason why they don't work. They're not addressing the entire problem that's causing your brain fog or your difficulty to field drive or be able to cope with stress. I mean, all of these things have to do with your brain. That's where these things originate. So let's talk about the stack. How do you use the stack? Who wants to grab that?
Well, Wade did a great summary of how he takes it, which is a great protocol. So again, for just pure energy, probably 4 to 6 kpex. I mean, for me, 5's enough. And then 2 to 4 cognibiotics in the morning. And then use the primer gen V's and M's, again, teas, coffees, water. That's one. Now as a pre-workout, because going back to what Wade was talking about with Poliquin, and if you think about what's happening, let's say you're listening to music, right? If anybody works out with music, you know, you've got some songs that you put on when you're going to do a squat or deadlift. You know, what's happening there? There's a boost in neurotransmitters. You know, the song is elevating neurotransmitters, which then translates to more reps, more weight. So the concept is the same. If we optimize neurotransmitters before a workout, optimize mitochondria, optimize the vitamins and minerals, you're going to get a boost. So for a pre-workout, you can do like, especially if it's late afternoon, maybe just 1 K-Pex, 2 Cognibiotics, and then you can go up to 15, 20 drops. And going back to people that sweat, we're not just sweating water, we're sweating minerals. And I drink about 4 to 5 liters of water a day, which means I've got 4 to 5 liters of water coming in, coming out. And when it's coming out, I've got minerals that are leaching with it. So I need to I use a lot of salt, like probably about 10 grams a day, and a lot of Primergen on top of that. Wade?
Yeah, similar component. The other thing I would say is most people will use like multiple servings of the minerals over multiple servings of the vitamins throughout the day. The other thing is the easy way to kind of manage for your body weight is take 1 drop for every 40 pounds of body weight. So that will kind of dial you into your optimal levels. If you're training, you're probably going to need, at least 2 servings of the minerals every day. By the way, as far as value, these little babies, there's 102 servings in each one of these. So a little bit goes a long ways. Which is really great. So that's and again, it comes down to regulating for yourself. But again, go do a SpectraCell test if you're really serious about addressing your mineral deficiencies. That test, not only does it show your deficiencies, but it shows which particular vitamins and minerals that you're having a hard time absorbing. And if you try our Primergen products and you get on them for a month, you do a test before and a test after, you're going to see measurable differences from that. Not just anecdotal, hey, I feel more energized, here my brain feels. You'll actually see research-driven stuff. They'll say, hey, there's a difference. Also, one other element I will add, neurofeedback designs. The original formulator had used this, and they were taking pictures of people's brains as they were going for neurofeedback, and they were working with people in recovery who had depressed levels of neurotransmitters. They weren't using the Cognibiotics, and they weren't using the K-Pex, but they showed that these humic and fulvic acid deliverers minerals were lighting up the brain way better than if they didn't take them before their neurofeedback sessions. So that was a big indicator back then, because I didn't have the SpectraCell test or these type of things to say, hey, this is some definitive proof that these things actually work and light your brain up.
So should I be concerned if I'm taking the Primergens and I'm taking pharmaceutical drugs or even over-the-counter stimulants or anything like that, that it's actually going to increase the effectiveness, maybe the plasma concentrations of these things?
The default is always check with the practitioner who has prescribed or your pharmacist to see if there's any contraindications that you've got. Maybe, if there's some strange interaction with the type of drugs that you might be on, particularly when you get into like antidepressants and neurotransmitter stuff. There is some very, very specific chemical interactions. And for those people who might be suffering, because there's probably a lot of people on this that's listening to this that might be on anti-anxiety or antidepressants, I would invite them to check out orthomolecular psychiatry. This stuff was founded by Abram Hoffer, David Hawkins, and Linus Pauling, all super geniuses in their field. And there's a whole element of how you use concentrated levels of nutrition, supplements, vitamins, minerals, and things like that to offset both the drugs and to ultimately come off them, which is really, really, now that's not, so, but you need a specialist that can dial in your chemistry to do that. So right. Don't screw around with stuff like that, because we don't want anybody to kind of go sideways because they took the wrong B vitamin with their anti-anxiety drug.
Right. Wade, if someone is still using caffeine and they are feeling vanquished, I literally tell people, I feel brain tired. It's unless you've ever experienced, you really can't understand it. And I have abused caffeine for a very long time now. And I take off for a while and then I get back on again. And it calls my name and I run over to it. Could I use this approach while I still use moderate, like 300 milligrams of caffeine a day, could I use this approach to help rebuild my neurotransmitters, or do I have to cut out the caffeine? I mean, you obviously cut it out for a year, and I guess if I have to do that, I have to do it. But what do you think?
Yeah, I did. But there was a key element that we left out of this, and we've been on your podcast with us before, is I pounded magnesium, because magnesium is also a big component of tempering down the nervous system. So by pounding the magnesium, you can offset that kind of nervous system and get that recovery best. So what I did is I cut it all out. But when the magnesium came back in, I could go back to caffeine, because what happened when I got screwed up, I started getting like, I'd have a cup of coffee and I'd be like, ready to kill somebody and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I had that hair trigger response.
Right.
Now, I mean, I can pound caffeine without any kind of side effects other than a little bit of I get that up. But I offset it with every 100 milligrams of caffeine, I take 500 milligrams of magnesium.
And that's the magnesium breakthrough, which has 5 different
Correct.
forms of magnesium in it as well. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So if I take 300 milligrams, then I've got to take 1.5 grams of magnesium a day.
Correct.
I have the magnesium breakthrough, so I'll deal with that. I'll try it and see what happens.
It's great. You'll love it. It just chills you right out.
Anything to add to that, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah, with all things, especially with the vitamins and minerals, there's a saturation level that's optimal. So it takes a while, right? So what we typically recommend is, when if you haven't been taking this the first 2 or 3 months, same thing with magnesium, push the dose up, and then then you can taper down to maintenance. You'll definitely notice it, because again, the difference between going from deficiency to optimal, it's night and day. On anything that's a key nutrient for the body. And with the Primergen and with magnesium, that's definitely the case. Even with Cognibiotics, as you're building up the strains in the gut, it's going to build up over time, and you're going to feel it more and more. So, those are just things to be aware of. But I experienced the same thing as Wade. It was more of a micro burnout, but I got to the point where I just couldn't drink coffee anymore. I just felt frazzled. I'd drink a cup and just feel horrible. It felt like my nerves were raw. And I think, and I've looked at the research on this. There's magnesium that's part of the myelin sheet, which covers the nerve. So in my opinion, again, when you're stressed out, you're in fight or flight, you're losing that magnesium, and then the nerves get raw, and that is the feeling of frazzle, the somatic experience, which does not feel good at all. So I had to stop the caffeine, and then started loading up on mag. Took me about 60 days, and then it fixed that issue. So that magnesium is amazing for balancing a nervous system.
See, for me, caffeine actually has the same effect for me right now as Ritalin probably does for an ADHD. I feel like my adrenals are so tapped that when I use caffeine, they just give up. They go, F it. We can't do this anymore. So we're just going to sit back. And I actually get sleepy from, like, if I take 500 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous, which is easy, a Bang energy drink and a couple caffeine caplets, and I'm there. I don't feel the jitters. I don't feel what I used to feel. I got to take 1,000 milligrams to feel it. And it's almost like I know what's happening. My adrenals are done. They can't be stimulated any more than they've been stimulated. So they just crash. And that's what happens to kids who have ADHD. They give them Ritalin. It takes about a week for the Ritalin to start working, because it takes about a week to completely exhaust the adrenal glands. They go, oh, I'm done. And so I'm going to try the magnesium. I'm going to start taking more magnesium. I really am. The website is shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. If you use the code SHR10, you'll save 10% off. I guarantee you, I have more and more people telling me that Cognibiotics and Capex, they feel it. And it just makes sense that when you add the vitamins and minerals to this, you have a complete package that's going to address why you feel fatigued in the first place, as opposed to, like me, just keep pushing the gas pedal and trying to muscle the body to do what you want it to do, and then eventually it stops working anyway. And God knows what I'm doing to my body. I'm going to let you into my brain. I often think to myself, I would love to go to like the beach for 3 weeks and just sleep. No caffeine. I'll come off caffeine. If I don't have to come in here and think and work and be energetic and just literally crash for 3 weeks, I feel like I could give up caffeine. But the problem is I wake up in the morning, I just don't feel it. I feel like I need a little something, or after I train in the morning, I feel like, man, if I just had a little something to keep me going and give me the desire to go in and work today. And so I turn to caffeine. It's a terrible situation. It's not an addiction. I know that it's because I can kick it, but it's horrible. It's horrible. And I live under the cloud of it. I really do. So I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to try this, and I'm going to up my magnesium. I'm going to try to see if I can wean off the caffeine. I'll let everybody know. Listen, I want to thank you again for being here and being sponsors. The website is shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. Try the BrainStack. It's SHR10 is the code to get an additional 10% off. Thanks for being here today, guys.
And it's already a hot deal. Even though the 10% is a hot deal, but the 10% is scorchy.
And if you're not totally blown away and feeling the difference, like of all our products, you get all your money back, no questions asked.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Except, what can you lose? Finding out that you have a great brain underneath all that sludge. How about that one? All right, guys, thanks so much for being here today. We're going to take one quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to do some whining and complaining about this week. Also tell you what's going on with Facebook and YouTube. Got a lot of exciting stuff going on. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Among the easiest and most popular ways to experience the life-altering benefits of hemp, Planet Earth CBD soft gels offer fast-acting effects as they release quickly. Made in a GMP-compliant, US FDA-registered facility, you can count on Planet Earth's safe soft gels. These soft gels provide temporary relief from pain and so much more. Manufactured with the calming combination of chamomile and melatonin, you got yourself a long-needed CBD solution. 25 milligrams of nano-emulsified hemp extract per serving with anti-inflammatory agency. Planet Earth sleep-supporting soft gels will have you forgetting about today's worries for a better tomorrow. Unwind with Planet Earth CBD today.
My friends over at Bioptimizers, makers of industry-leading digestive supplements, have created a special recipe for you that helps boost brain performance in the morning. They make products Primergen V and Primergen M, potent liquid vitamins and mineral formulas loaded with absorbable vitamin Bs and trace minerals in a fulvic and humic acid base. You stack that with 3 capsules of Capex, their enzyme and energy supplement, and the effect is even stronger. You'll be buzzing without jitters or any negative side effects for hours. Bioptimizers calls this the Brain Boost Stack, and they're running a special promotion for you at shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. That's shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. You can get an additional 10% off from the normal package price with the coupon code SHR10. It's a powerful way to get your brain going and optimize your daily focus, memory, and performance.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Who's that good-looking guy on the motorcycle? I ride that motorcycle every day. I love that motorcycle. It's the best. And I'm getting sad because it's cool in the mornings. This morning it was like 57 degrees. I had to wear a jacket. You see I nicked myself today. Holy mackerel. It bled for hours. I finally got it to stop. Blow dryer. If you don't know how to stop a nick, a blow dryer, I'm telling you, you can put a little paper on it to absorb the blood. You point a blow dryer at it. You got to be careful. Don't burn yourself, and the nick will feel hotter than the rest of your face. But that coagulates the blood, and then you take a damp towel and pat the tissue, and you can peel it off without it bleeding again. So anyway, this week has been the week from hell. We got shut down on YouTube from streaming for nothing I did. It's such a scam. And of course, I can't get them to respond and fix the problem because they're all powerful. But I think we have like another 25 days before we can stream live on Facebook again. YouTube gave me a challenge yesterday, kept taking the show down. I had to find, there's a service called streamable.com where you put anything up there you want. And they leave it there. So we're going to use Streamable every time YouTube jerks a show. You know, I talk about health and fitness. I interview scientists who are publishing research. And maybe that research doesn't fit the narrative that YouTube wants. It's still valid research from valid universities by real scientists. But yet they take stuff down. It's just ridiculous. And I really hope that in the near future, this all changes. I really do. My objective, I think, is, for 14 years, let's say 13 years, I only started doing live video last year. So for 13 years, I've done nothing but my live stream from my server that we control. And people were able to listen. Then we had problems with the iPhone apps and all that other stuff, and we kind of got derailed. Tom Bilyeu gave me good advice. He says, do video no matter what, do video. And I thought, well, I can do live video, which is even greater because I have audience participation. But I'm really rethinking any of this. I'm really rethinking this from a standpoint of, I'm thinking that I want to be autonomous again, where I don't have to depend on Facebook. I mean, look, I have a very small Facebook following. There's a lot of podcasts out there. They have 30, 40,000 Facebook followers. I think I've got like 9,000. And that's because I've never promoted anything on Facebook. And YouTube, we just started the YouTube channel this year. We didn't even have a YouTube channel till this year. I mean, think about how far behind the curve I am with that. But the reality is, I liked being autonomous. I liked working on my own. I liked doing things that I had complete control over the delivery of. And I'm really thinking that maybe that's what we're going to go back to. This service Streamable allows me to store and upload the videos that we produce. Maybe we'll stop doing live videos. Maybe we'll just start pre-recording the video just the way I used to pre-record the audio back in the day before I had a stream. And put it up on our website and have those people who follow the website have access to this information. Because I don't like, I have a really bad feeling this week by the way Facebook handled what they did and the way YouTube handled what they did. And I think that let everybody else be Facebook and YouTube stars. I think I'm going to find a way to go back to what made me successful from the beginning, and that is standing on my own, delivering my own content on my own terms. Because I can see it. I can see me doing a show, a really good show, with a real scientist who's applauded for their research, and YouTube takes it down because it doesn't meet their, standards, or Facebook pulling this crap again on me. Look, Facebook said I made a post on September 11th about Osama bin Laden, and they blocked me from streaming for 30 days because of that. I didn't make that post. I've messaged them every day since it happened, asking them to show me where, because when you make a post that's taken down, they send you a notice. They send you a message in your inbox. They say, hey, we took this post down because it didn't meet our community standards. I never got a message like that about September 11th. And on top of that, I didn't make a post about Osama bin Laden on September 11th. I was too busy working. So either somebody at Facebook is effing with me because maybe they don't like some of my other posts. They figure, we'll fix this guy. We're going to put him out of business. You're not putting me out of business, because the delivery of my podcast across all the podcast networks, that's the bread and butter. Video is really no big deal. What do I get? 500, 600, 700 views over the course of some period of time. That's not where it's at. I get over 50,000 downloads an episode of the podcast. That's where my bread and butter is. And that I have complete control over. Well, to a certain degree. Obviously, I have to work with iTunes and Stitcher, but they're wonderful. These companies are wonderful. So I really feel this week, it frazzled me. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to have Facebook or YouTube to have any control over what I do and how I do it, because I am always going to talk about things that are timely, are legitimate, backed by science, but don't fit the narrative that these two platforms are promoting. So anyway, it's been a great week. Even with all that, we've done some fantastic shows. The Rapamycin show, which is a game changer. If you didn't have a chance to listen to that, please go back and listen to it. And of course, Bioptimizers is a long-term sponsor of this show, and always patronize the sponsors whenever possible, because they make this show possible. Go to shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. Use code SHR10 to save an additional 10% off an already reduced price on the stack that we talked about today. And have a safe and wonderful weekend. I'm going to try to spend as much time on the bike as I can, training every day again. I feel so good that I'm training again. Tomorrow's leg day. And we will see everybody next week. Remember, muscle is metabolic currency, so get into the gym and make a deposit today. We'll see you later.